Today, we're going to talk about a product that was just beautiful. It was colorful, it was smooth, and it was a real, genuine attempt to completely reinvent the smartphone. And yet, it failed. Spectacularly. So let's get into the story of Windows Phone and figure out why we all let this perfect, tragic idea just slip away.
Seriously, do it. Pull out your phone right now. Doesn't matter if it's an iPhone or an Android. You unlock it, and what do you see? Rows and rows of little static squares. Yeah, it works, sure, but isn't it kind of boring? Well, about a decade ago, there was another way, an idea that wanted to save you from this exact screen.
And this really shows you the difference right here. On one side, you've got the grid of static icons we all use every single day. And on the other, the whole idea behind Windows Phone, a living, breathing mosaic of information that was constantly changing. You see, it wasn't just a different look. It was a totally different philosophy for what your home screen should even be.
So let's start with that interface, because it was really something special. The whole point of the design was to get you the info you needed faster, so you could, put your phone down and get back to your actual life.
This right here, this was the core principle. At a time when Apple was making its apps look like, stitched leather and fake paper, Microsoft just took a hard left. Their design language was called Metro, and the idea was simple. Make the interface itself basically disappear. Let your stuff, your messages, your photos, your calendar, be the design.
And the heart and soul of that whole philosophy? It was this: live tiles. Now, these weren't just shortcuts to open an app. No way. They were little windows into your apps. Your calendar tile would actually show your next meeting. Your messaging tile would flip over to show you new texts. They were alive.
Microsoft had a name for this: glance and go. Just picture it. You wake up, you just look at your screen. Right there, you see your 8 a.m. meeting, you see there's a chance of rain, you see the subject lines of new emails scrolling by, you haven't opened a single app, but you're already caught up. When Apple finally introduced widgets in 2020, anyone who used a Windows Phone just kind of shrugged. We'd been living that future since 2010. And then there were hubs. The People Hub was just genius. Think about it. Right now, if you want to see what a friend is up to, you open Instagram, then you open their messages, maybe you check another app. The People Hub just pulled all of that together. You'd tap on a friend's contact, and you'd see their latest posts, photos, and all your messages with them in one single place. It organized your life around people, not a bunch of corporate apps. Honestly, we've gone backwards from this.
But all that brilliant software, well, it needed a body. And that is where a true hardware legend comes into the story: Nokia.
In a world that was just full of black and gray slabs, Nokia gave us color. Bright, vibrant cyan and magenta. The phones were built from these single blocks of polycarbonate that just felt so dense and solid, almost indestructible. And the best part? The color was infused all the way through the material. You couldn't scratch the paint off because there was no paint. These things had real personality.
And then, in 2013, Nokia put this on the back of a phone: 41 megapixels. This wasn't a gimmick. This was pretty much the birth of modern computational photography in our pockets. So that huge sensor, it used this incredible technique called oversampling. It basically captured way more data than it needed, and then used all these smart algorithms to combine those pixels into one stunningly detailed, color-accurate photo with almost no noise. This is the same basic idea that phones from Google and Apple use today, but Nokia was doing it years ahead of them. Okay, so if the software was visionary and the hardware was amazing, why on earth did it fail? Well, it all came down to one single fatal flaw. This timeline pretty much tells you the whole story. Windows Phone launched in 2010. That's a full 3 years after the iPhone. By that point, developers had already built entire businesses on Apple's App Store, and Android was picking up serious steam. That 3-year head start, it was basically a death sentence. And this right here, this is the vicious cycle that killed Windows Phone. It's the classic chicken and egg problem, right? Developers would look at the small number of users and go, why would we build an app for them? But then potential customers would look at the App Store and say, why would I buy a phone that doesn't have my favorite apps? Microsoft was just caught in the middle and could never break that cycle to get the critical mass it needed to survive. And to make things even worse, Google actively sabotaged the platform. They flat out refused to build official apps like YouTube or Google Maps. And when Microsoft built its own, incredible YouTube app, Google blocked it. Key services were just missing. The most popular apps, like Snapchat and Instagram, they either never showed up or they arrived years too late.
It was a war of attrition, and Windows Phone was being starved out.
But, it wasn't just the competition. Microsoft made some absolutely catastrophic mistakes that pushed away its most loyal fans.
I mean, just imagine buying a top-of-the-line flagship phone and then, just 1 year later, being told it's obsolete. That is exactly what happened. When Microsoft moved from Windows Phone 7 to Windows Phone 8, they switched the whole underlying system. It was the right move for the long run, but it meant every single phone from that first generation got left behind, no upgrades. They stranded their early adopters, the very people who took a chance on them. It was a massive betrayal of trust.
Then they spent over $7 billion to buy Nokia's phone business. And this move, it terrified all the other hardware makers like Samsung and HTC. I mean, why would you build a phone for an operating system when its owner is now your direct competitor? The whole hardware ecosystem just dried up, almost overnight.
So Microsoft officially pulled the plug in 2017. And yet, if you look really closely at the phone that's in your pocket right now, you'll find the ghost of Windows Phone everywhere.
Just look at this legacy. Apple's home screen widgets? That's the live tile idea. The entire industry shifting away from fake textures to clean, flat design? Yeah, that was pioneered by Metro UI. That fancy pixel binning in your high-end smartphone camera? That's a direct descendant of Nokia's PureView. Windows Phone might have lost the war, but you know what? Its ideas secretly won.
And here's what that really means for all of us. What we truly lost was real competition. With only 2 major players left in the game, innovation just slows down. Apple and Google are mostly just refining the same basic formula they've had for over a decade. They aren't taking big, risky swings anymore because, well, they don't have to.
Windows Phone tried to do better. It tried to reinvent what a phone could be. It failed, yeah, but it leaves us with a really important question as we all stare at our boring grids of icons. Is this really the best we can do? Or could our digital lives be just a little more colorful, a little more personal, and maybe just a little more alive?